Good evening, everyone. My name is Romal Viñas. I'm a mental health advocate and therapist studying. Oh, Good evening, everyone. My name is Romal Viñas, and I'm a mental health advocate and currently studying psychology at Our Lady of Fatima University, Quezon City campus. So before we begin, if any of you have questions regarding the discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by entering it in the comment section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on. And I'll be here to cater to them for our guest speaker. Welcome to the live webinar series of ESME.ph, an e-learning marketplace for Filipino professionals where one can develop the relevant and in-demand skills through masterclasses in different kinds of learning. So if you want to learn more about us, feel free to visit our page at www.esme.ph. And for those who are watching on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to share the link to this stream to the people who you think will be interested or will relate in today's topic. So this webinar is in partnership with ASEAN Youth Organization, an ASEAN approved nonprofit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young in Southeast Asia. And today we're going to learn the techniques in establishing a connection using knowledge from business writing. So the corporate world is about creating needs, enticing customers, and selling ideas. So to win, you have to know the right way to get people. And catchy business writing is one of those ways. So our guest is the senior manager for news at Philippine office of S&P Global Career Site, one of the top brands in financial data and analytics in the world. He has over 18 years of experience in newsrooms, tech companies, public relations, and editorial service companies. He has proven track record in creating and leading initiatives for improving business processes, developing team members, and managing change. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Rocky Teodoro. Hi, Mr. Teodoro. Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks Romel for
So
that
please to meet you.
introduction. Yeah. Also, thanks to the ASEAN Youth Organization for having me. Um, so, good afternoon to everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine, and I hope everyone is safe in these times. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about business writing for impact. So, if we can show my presentation, yeah, there we go. All right. Thank you. Business writing for impact. So when we say the word impact, what comes to mind, right? So when we say impact, it means something moved, right? So when usually this applies to things hitting a thing hitting another thing, and then there is movement, right? So I'm here to give you to talk about writing for impact, which means your writing will move people, will move projects, will have an effect. It will have a desired effect, right? So I'm here to give two essentials and three tips. All right, here's an overview of what we'll be talking about today. So first of all, I'll share my journey with you as a writer. So this is so you guys believe me, right? So I'll share my experiences in writing, and to show my credibility in talking about writing, I'll talk a bit about the things I've learned on the way in my long career as a writer. Then I'll talk about two essentials of writing and three tips that you can easily apply in your writing. Now, why did I choose the numbers two and three? So the reason I chose the numbers two and three is that um, two and three are easier to remember, right? If I gave you 7 tips, you probably won't remember all of them. But if I give you 2 essentials and 3 tips, it's easy to remember. So that's what's in store for us this afternoon. Here's my background. Um, I've been in public relations. I've been a lifestyle writer. I've written for magazines as well. I was a technical writer for several years. My latest writing role was a news editor in my company, my current company, which is S&P Global. So these are the roles I've held over these years. So I'll do a brief. Uh, I'll describe briefly my journey as a writer for all of you um, folks on this webinar. I started out in public relations. So my first job was writing for companies such as Microsoft, BDO, and other clients. Um, so in this first job of mine, I learned how to write for work. So when we write, sometimes we say, I'm not in the mood to write. So when you write professionally, that's not acceptable, right? So once you start a job and you take a job in writing, you have to learn to write for work, which means you don't have to wait for inspiration to write. You write because it's your job. You start doing it. You just do it. In my PR role, I also learned how to learn information in a short span of time. So I had to write about topics like software piracy, banking, etc. So it's a good skill to have to absorb information in a short span of time because you have to write about them. Then from public relations, from PR, I moved on to another PR firm, but this firm, um, I was a lifestyle writer. So I was actually a ghostwriter for a famous newspaper columnist. So I had to shift gears a bit. So lifestyle writing is a different kind of writing. So with lifestyle writing, you have to write for mood. So you have to use words that set a certain mood, uh, that describe things in a vivid way. So that's what I picked up as a lifestyle writer. Um, Throughout my years of writing, I also contributed to a number of magazines. So men's magazine, showbiz, even a showbiz magazine, a gadgets magazine. So as a magazine contributor, I learned how to come up with story pitches, which is coming up with ideas for stories or articles. And I learned how to flesh out a topic completely. So it's not only coming up with the topic that would be interesting to the magazine's readers, but also planning, what pictures go along with your article, what sidebars would go along with your article, um, and anything else interesting visually, not only with regards to words, but with regards to the visual impact of your article. I also spent several years as a technical writer, which was another whole new ball game. So it's really different from lifestyle writing, which I mentioned. So as a technical writer, I wrote instruction manuals and even a quick start guide for telecoms equipment and business process software solution. So as a technical writer, I learned to write in a completely different way. I learned how to write clearly and without any frills. And I also learned how to simplify. So if you've read when you buy a cell phone, you've seen the user manuals that come along with those. So that was the type of writing I did as a technical writer. Then finally, my last writing role in my current company, S&P Global, I was the first news editor in the Manila office for my company. So I wrote and edited financial stories for the energy sector. I trained and guided writers. I also pitched story coverage with news desk managers. Right. So that's a peek into my journey as a writer, and I'm here to show you what I've learned along the way, and uh, to help you guys improve your writing with my experience. If you can see in the picture there, the smiling faces there, those are my team. That's the news team, and we're at our uh, Christmas party. So as you can see, all of them are happy during parties. Right. All right. Let's begin. Um, I mentioned the two essentials. So I'd like to ask the people in this webinar any ideas. What are two essentials that every writer should know? So if you're in this webinar, maybe you can type in your answers in your in whatever social media you are using or whatever platform you are using, and I'll be able to see them. Uh, so anyone, can I ask someone to volunteer any answers? What do you think is essential for every writer? So I'll give you guys maybe a minute to think about it and type in your answers. All right. I guess people are still thinking. So don't be shy. I won't call out your name. Just give the answers. All right. I haven't seen any answers yet, so let's move on. But usually, when I ask this question in writing workshops, the usual answers I get are, writers should be concise, writers should be straight to the point, writers should be informative, you know. So these answers are correct, but the answer I'm looking for is the first essential. It's know your reader, right? So this is really the foundation of writing. The first step is really to know your reader. Even before you pick up your pen or you turn on your laptop or your PC, before you uh, open your word processing program, it's really to know your reader. So, why is this? You need to know your reader in order to tailor fit your writing. So, what could be clear to one reader may not be clear to another, right? Or what could be concise to one reader may not be concise to another, right? So yeah, it's important to be clear and concise, but first you have to know who you are writing for. So you can see two people in the slide here. So um, one is in an old man. Let's say he's a biologist, and the kid, right? So if you're writing something about dinosaurs, let's say dinosaurs, if you're writing for that biologist, you can use technical terms, right? You can use the scientific names of dinosaurs. You can talk about uh, their biology, things like that. You can be highly technical with the old guy. But if you write for the kid, you're going to use completely different words, right? Maybe you'll use words like, awesome, humongous, just so to get that kid excited about dinosaurs, right? And as a side note, uh, writing children's books may seem simple, but it's really difficult because you have to really use words that are right for kids, and not only kids that they words that they will understand, but words that have a certain flow. so that it's easy for them to read and so that they get engaged with the story, right? So the first essential is to know your reader. So once you start writing, everyone here has done writing. Of course, in school you write every day. You write assignments. You write uh, book reviews, book reports. But mainly, you are always writing for your teacher, correct? So it's easy to get stuck in a certain writing style. But once you start writing professionally or writing in a corporate setting, you will have different readers, different audiences, right? So the first step is knowing your reader. Are they consumers choosing between products? Let's say you're writing product descriptions. So what will consumers want to know about the product, right? Uh, if you are writing for a technical publication, maybe scientists, your readers are scientists, so you can use technical jargon for them. On the other hand, if you're writing for, let's say, a newspaper or a magazine, but you're writing about a science topic, you may have to explain your terms because people may not understand the scientific jargon, right? Are you writing for students? Are you writing for fellow millennials on social media and they want to be entertained? So all these factors, they will guide how you write and what you write. This is really the first step in writing. It's knowing your reader. So define your reader. If possible, keep a picture of that reader in your mind and then write for him or her. That's the first essential. The second essential is knowing your purpose for writing. So why are you writing something? So are you writing to persuade? So if you are writing to persuade, all your words and sentences will flow towards that action point you want someone to take, or that stand you want someone to have, right? If you're writing to inform, on the other hand, it's a different form of writing. You will use different words and sentences as well. Or if you're writing to entertain, so ask yourself, well, what is my purpose? Why am I writing this email? Is it to inform my boss? Is it to persuade my boss to do something? You know, is it to inform a teammate? Is it to sell a product? Is it to convince the HR recruiter that I am the best person for the job? So ask yourself, what's your purpose? And then the last question is also important. Is writing the best option for communication, right? So sometimes we're thinking we want to write an email when it's easier and better to pick up the phone and call that person, right? Or to even go to that person and talk face to face, right? So if you want to build connections, if you want to build your network, still the best way is to really talk to with the person face to face, or at the minimum give that person a call or a video call, right? Because you can see each other's facial expressions, you can read his body language. On the other hand, if you are giving instructions like, let's say, map directions or a recipe, writing is better because that person can see the steps involved and refer back to any important info in the process, in the recipe, in the map directions, right? So that's a good question to ask as well. What is my best option for communication? It's not always writing. Sometimes talking in person is better, sometimes calling is better. Sometimes, a chatting with the person is better. So think of these two essentials before you pick up your pen. So know your reader and know your purpose. Those are the two essentials of writing. All right, let's move on to the three tips that I will give. And if you'll notice, they all start with the letter C to make it easier for you guys to memorize and to remember. So tip one, once you've thought about your reader, once you've thought about your purpose, Now you can start applying these tips, which is the first tip is to be concise. So being concise means not being too wordy, removing any unnecessary words or fluff, as we call them, using words that mean what you want to say and not adding any extraneous words to them. That's what it means to be concise. So when you start writing professionally, um, you will learn that your boss, your managers, or even maybe if you're writing to the CEO of your company or the C-level executives, you will notice one thing they have in common. They are all busy people. They don't have time. So if you are concise, you are helping them by saving time for them, by not wasting their time, right? So when you write, you can use the inverted pyramid format. So inverted pyramid is a term we use in news wherein you put the most important points at the very beginning. So if you read news articles, you'll notice the most important pieces of information are always in the first and second paragraph. So you can use this format in your emails or any of your written communication. Put the most important points at the very beginning. So if your reader is a busy person, he can just scan the first paragraph and he knows what your communication is all about, right? Then after you put the secondary points next below the your first and second paragraph. Any supporting info you may have, any secondary points you may have. For emails, and really, this also applies if you're writing articles or a blog posts. Um, it's a good idea to number or use bulleted points as much as possible. If you notice, my slide uses bulleted points. So if I put this in a paragraph, it would be harder to read. But if it's in a bullet format, it's easy to read. You can see all of my points clearly. So uh, if it's appropriate, always use bulleted points and numbered lists because it's easier on the eyes to read. And once again, you're helping your reader to get the info across to your reader. Finally, you edit without remorse. Once you've written something, do another pass on your writing, remove anything unnecessary. So you don't be afraid to send short emails or short memos or short reports. As long as everything important is in it, it's always better to have it more concise, right? So that's tip number one. Be concise. Here's an email sample. I'll give you a few seconds to read it. So it's a sample of someone who was in a call, who was in a meeting. All right. So as we can glean from the email, they had a meeting and then they talked about next steps on a certain project that they're doing. So the email said, here's a recap of what we discussed to meet our deadline. Action items. So as you can see, there's a bulleted list. So, action items for Sharon and team: approve mock-ups, provide final copy, supply photography. So in using bullet points, it's really concise and clear. These is this is these items are what is expected from Sharon and team, right? So all Sharon has to do is reply, okay, got it, understood. Or if there is any misunderstanding, Sharon can clarify, like, oh, I thought it was Dave who was going to do the photography, not me. Or I thought the photography was due on Friday, not Wednesday. It's easy to communicate and clear up any misunderstandings because the writing is clear and concise, right? So always try to make your emails like this: concise and clear, and use bullets or numbered lists if possible, right? Let's move on to tip number two. Right, it's be clear. So how do we write more clearly? So I'll give a number of tips. When you write emails, most people when they write emails, they don't think much of the subject headings. They think it's just something you can put anything there and it's fine. But um, if you don't use email subject headings properly, you're missing an opportunity to become clearer, right? So remember, the people you are writing to are busy people. They scan their emails. They might have 100 emails per day. Sometimes all they will read about your email is the subject heading. So if it's something that doesn't seem important or it's something that wastes their time, they won't even to bother reading it, right? So in your email subject heading, you state what the reader should do with the email. Is it just FYI? Is it a crucial email? Are you waiting for an action from the recipient? Do you need information from your reader? Put it in the email heading, and I'll have an example after this slide. Um, the next uh, tip is if you are writing reports. So most of us will have to write reports sometime in our lives. You do it in school as well, right? So when you write reports, once again, remember your boss is a busy person, your CEO is a busy person. You put an executive summary in your report. So an executive summary is 1 to 2 paragraphs at the very beginning of your report. In your summary, you put what does your boss need to know about the topic and what is your recommendation. That's it. So if your boss reads that, he knows what the report is about and what you are recommending, right? So he can say, okay, good. And then if he has time, if he needs the background information, he can just open the report and read the other pages. But this is crucial for your boss, the executive summary. So once again, save time for your reader. All right, here's an example. Here's Here are some email subject headings. So a lot of us, we don't think too much about email subject headings. I'm also guilty of this when I use personal email. But in work email, sometimes we are guilty of having vague subject headings like regarding our meeting tomorrow. So if I'm the reader or if I'm your boss, I don't know what to do, what you are going to tell me, right? Regarding our meeting tomorrow. So if I'm busy, I might skip over your email. It doesn't say. It just says it's something about the meeting tomorrow. But I don't know what info you are going to give me. The second example is another vague one. Help with the ABC project. So, are you asking for my help? Are you giving me help? I don't know. What sort of help do you need from me? So I have to click the email and open and read your email. So you wasted time for me if I'm your reader. Now compared to those vague examples, here are some clearer examples, right? So for the first one, if you've noticed, IMPT is short for important. Electricity shutdown 3 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Work will be impacted. It has everything I need just there in the subject heading. If I want supporting details or a background on why the shutdown is happening, I can open the email. But if I just read the subject heading, I know what to do. Okay, there's going to be a shutdown tomorrow. I need to save my work, right? Work will be impacted. So even without opening the email, I know what impact will have on me, right? The second example, need inputs, theme, and venues for our office party. So if I'm your colleague, I know what this email is about. You want my suggestions. Okay. It's for our office party. So I guess I'll answer it at the end of the day when I'm not too busy since I know it's not that important, right? It's not urgent. So you actually help me with the subject heading by giving me uh, allowing me to rank its importance in my workflow. So I can just answer this, it's not crucial. I can answer it later when I'm not busy, right? All right, moving on to our last tip. It's be considerate. So I've talked a bit about this, but always write from the perspective of your reader. How much time does he have? What does he know currently about the topic? What are you asking him to do? So put yourself in the reader's shoes so you know what info that person needs, and you can tailor fit your writing. In short, try to anticipate what the person will ask and what info he needs before you start writing, and then you can supply that piece of writing or that piece of info in your writing for him, right? So which um, on the second point, give the information or input that you know your reader will look for. So this minimizes the number of emails sent, makes the process more efficient. It saves time for not only for your reader but for yourself as well. So if you know the person is going to ask something, put it in your email, right? So anticipate their needs. Here's a pro tip for everyone. So don't merely ask questions or report problems. So once you've started working, or if you're currently working, you know, things go wrong in work. You need, let's say, you need something from a person, and that person is absent, or you haven't gotten the data yet, etc. When you report problems to your boss, don't just report a problem, but propose a solution. This will set you apart from all the others. If you are consistent in proposing solutions, you will stand out as a problem solver, and your boss will notice this. So that's a tip for all of you young professionals and fresh graduates out there. Keep on proposing solutions. So if your solution gets used, that's good. Your boss will say, "Oh, good solution." But even if your solution doesn't get used, your boss will notice, okay, we can't use your solution because of A and B and C. But yeah, good effort. And maybe next time you will come up with a solution that I can use. That's what your boss will say. You will be known as a proactive person in the office. You will be known as a solution finder. So, it's for your personal branding. Be a solutions guy in the office. All right. Here's an example of an email. So if you notice, the first example is the poor email. So it's not considerate for the reader. So the poor email goes like this. Hi Joe, I noticed that people are booking hotels for the Ad Congress conference next year. I'd like to go. What do you think? So if I'm the boss of if I'm Joe, I receive this email, I will ask a lot of things, right? Like why do you need to go? How much will it cost? What's your plan? I have a lot of questions. So a better email to send will be the one below. Hi, Joe. I've been thinking about ways to upgrade my work skill set, and it looks like there are some speakers and workshops at that Congress this June that would be very helpful. I can also give a series of talks to share what I've learned with the team after I return. The cost for a ticket, hotel, and airfare would be 22,000 pesos. Do you think the company could sponsor me to attend? So if I'm the boss, if I'm Joe, I receive that email below, all I have to do is say, yes, good idea, approved, right? Or if, let's say, I can just reply with any points I need to clarify, like, I can, the company can sponsor you for 10,000. Would that be okay? But everything that I would ask is in the email. So it saves, the email back and forth, and your boss will be happy that you've answered all of the questions that he was going to ask, right? So whenever you write emails, always try to follow the second example. So Anticipate the questions that the recipient or the reader will be asking, and then answer them beforehand, right? All right. Yeah, so that finishes my presentation on business writing for impact. So to review, the two purposes, just to review, the two essentials of writing are know your reader and know your purpose for writing. And the three tips for you guys, all of them are letter C. It's easy to remember. Be concise, be clear, be considerate. That's it. So when the next time you start writing, just remember the two essentials and the three tips. You'll find that you've improved your writing a whole lot compared to before you listen to this webinar, right? All right. So that's it for my presentation today. So I hope that was helpful for everyone.
Mr. Teodoro, um, I, I know, I have a few questions here,
Yeah, sure.
for the, um, regarding to writing in business. What are the things to avoid in writing a business?
All right. Things to avoid. So I mentioned a couple, avoid
Yeah.
writing lengthy emails, lengthy reports. Be concise, right? Um, Other things to avoid are avoiding jargon. If you know the person, if you're not sure if the person will understand it, so if
Mm,
you're not sure, better to just define jargon, define the terms you are using. Um, Another thing to avoid would be humor. So if you don't know the person yet, try to avoid being funny because you don't know if the person will get offended, right? But if you
yeah.
know the person, that's fine. You can joke around
Mm,
if you've met the person, if you talk with him. But don't take the risk if you don't know the person that well. Try to avoid humor at the start of the relationship.
okay.
And another thing to avoid, if you are writing for an international audience, so companies these days are global. If you're writing to someone in India, the US,
Mm,
London, Pakistan, try to avoid using figures of speech that other nationalities may not be able to understand. So we use American English, so we have a lot of American English, which someone in London might not understand, or someone in India, or someone in Japan or Korea. So, like an example would be shooting the breeze. So, we know what that means, right? Shooting the breeze means having a small talk or a chat with someone. But if you say shooting the breeze, you email that to someone in Japan, he might not understand, why are you shooting the breeze? Why are you shooting the wind? He won't get the figure of speech. So try to avoid using figures of speech when you communicate globally.
mm.
Uh,
Okay, thank you. But the connection, right? What did it go to? In connection, how are you going to create a connection with your audience despite the fact it is technical writing? Yeah.
How to create a connection? Yeah, if you do the first essential, which is knowing your reader, it will be easier for you to connect, right? Even if you're writing something technical, or something formal,
Yeah.
if you know what your reader needs, it's easier to make a connection, right? So if you in your writing you provide what that person wants to know, and then it's easier for you to connect with the person, right? So it all goes back to the first essential, which is knowing your reader. That's really the first step in business writing and in making connections.
So, um, that's all. I think I have this question. But how about the pros and cons in knowing business writing?
Yeah, I've touched. on this a bit. The cons, if you are not a concise writer,
Mm-mm.
sometimes people will skip your emails. They won't read your, even if you have a good idea, if you're not able to communicate it properly, it will get ignored, right?
Yeah.
If you send me a 10-page suggestion on what to do and it's confusing, I won't read it. I, I'll delete the email. On the other hand, if you write concisely, clearly, and clearly, your proposals will get read. You'll get the impression of being someone smart, because if you communicate well, the impression that people get, oh, that guy is a smart one, right? So if you want to be noticed, if you want to stand out, if you want to move up in the career ladder, one of the main requirements is being a good communicator, both in written and spoken English. So it's really foundational for anyone who wants to succeed.
So, yeah. But okay, last question.
Mm.
What is the difference between creating a relationship using social media and or in-person communication if they are going to use business writing as a form of communication?
Um, what's the difference between using social media and in-person communication? Is that correct?
Um, yeah,
Mhm.
let, let, yeah.
Well, in-person communication, it relies on oral communication. So, as I mentioned, you can connect more with the person if you meet him or her, because you can see the facial expressions. Like, I'm seeing you smiling right now, right? So I know
Mm,
you are listening to me. I can see you smiling, you're friendly. I can read your body language. So it's better to connect, right? Rather than if we just chatted or I sent an email to you, I don't even know what Romel Viñas looks like, right? I have no idea. But if I see you on the screen, it's easier for me to connect to you. I can see you smiling. Um, so my tips would apply to business writing, which includes maybe sending an email to a recruiter or a colleague or a potential boss. If you're connecting with them, you know, my tips still apply. Be concise, be clear, be considerate, and make an impact with your writing. And
mm.
once you've done that, you can widen your impact by meeting with the person face to face or having a video call with the person. So yeah, I guess the first step would be, if you don't know someone yet, connect with the person on social media, LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. Send an email, and then if you want to deepen your connection, have a call with the person.
So,
You know,
just like God. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I think that's all my questions. Okay,
All right.
sorry. So, um, uh, for everyone who attended this webinar, I guess we're done, right, Mr. Teodoro?
Yeah,
You done? Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
So, yeah, for everyone who attended this webinar, all of you can get a digital certificate of your attendance. For sure, you want to get yours. So if you want, just head on our website at www.esme.ph or click on the link that we posted in the comment section below. Make your own account and navigate for the title of the webinar that you joined in today. So, Mr. Rocket Theodore,
Sorry,
thank you.
Ramel. Um, I think
Yeah.
we were going to show a video about my
Oh, okay.
company. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe we can show that video.
Yeah.
I'll just plug a bit my company, and we have several job openings for anyone
Mhm.
watching. So yeah, please play the video.
Okay.
Decisions. They set things in motion. They move things forward. They make progress happen. Without decisions, opportunities pass. Today, Across global markets, the difference between opportunities seized and opportunities missed is measured in a nanosecond. As market complexity and competition accelerate, the ability to confidently make the best decisions becomes increasingly important. The need for actionable insight is critical, because every decision is only as good as the intelligence used to make it. We are S&P Global. We provide essential intelligence. Our economic benchmarks enable the decisions that set the markets in motion. We provide the intelligence that's essential for companies and investors around the world to make decisions with conviction. Our price benchmarks and analytics support decision-making in energy and commodities. From the moment a raw material is unearthed to when a customer buys it. Our iconic indices provide leading market insight to individuals and institutions so they can evaluate the performance of their investments, from the most complex investment strategy to the most basic retirement portfolio. Our credit ratings and research create transparency, enabling growth for cities and businesses. Our global data, supported with relevant news and research, arms financial professionals with essential insights to capitalize on market opportunities. For over 150 years, S&P Global has provided sound strategic analysis for the world's markets. Our data, analytics, and benchmarks empower the decisions that set the world in motion. S&P Global, essential intelligence.
Yeah, thanks for showing the video. So let me just plug to everyone. My company, S&P Global, we have a number of openings in commercial, in sales. In my team, the news team, I have an opening for a news writer and several other openings. So please visit. I think it was shown earlier in the ticker, but visit spglobal.com/careers. Yeah, it's showing now. So if you want to apply in our company, if you're interested in learning more, please click that. Also add me on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn URL is showing on the screen, or just search for my name in LinkedIn, Rocky Teodoro. Add me, and we can converse there if you have any questions after this webinar. All right. Before we end, I think, Romel, there was a question sent. So let me just answer that question. Someone sent in a question. So let me read the question. If you made a big mistake on your writing and it becomes viral, what can you do to remedy it? All right. Um, so you made a mistake in your writing and it becomes viral. That's tough to recover from, because you can't control, people sharing the mistake. You can't control um, people forwarding it to their friends. So you can't erase that from existence. But one thing you can do is um, just demonstrate your other good qualities, or have a lot more uh, instances of good writing to take their mind off the one time you had a bad piece of writing, right? So everyone makes mistakes. That's fine. No one is perfect. Not even the best editor or the best writer in the world. Sometimes they will make typos. They will make some grammar errors. That's fine. Just be consistent. If you make one mistake, just review your work next time, and wow them with 20 pieces of good writing. That would be my advice there. So yeah, I think that's it. So Romel, you can close.
sorry. Sorry guys. Sorry. Before this webinar comes to a close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn and more increase their knowledge and skills. Just visit our website at www.esme.ph. We offer a wide range of master classes courses, those of you which you can enroll in case of whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interest. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you learned something today. And I would like to thank ESME.ph for having me as their host and also to the ASEAN Youth Organization. So thank you so much, guys, and see you in our next webinar series. Bye.